Hold up. Wait a minute. I wish you love, peace, and hair grease.
Love, peace, and hair grease, y'all.
Yeah, you know the one shooting straight from the hip.
This is Carla Renata, aka the Curvy Critic, and I shoot straight from the hip.
Yeah, you know the one shooting straight from the hip.
Hi, everybody. Oh, let me pull that up just a little bit. Hi, I know it's been a couple of weeks. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If this is your first time joining me, you have joined me, Carla Renata, your host, and you have tuned into the podcast, The Curvy Critic with Carla Renata. I know it's been a couple of weeks and I have been super, super busy. I'm going to get right into it. But before I do, if this is your first time joining me, click the bell for notifications. If you are on YouTube, give me a big thumbs up to let me know you were here. And as always, welcome, you guys. Wow, it's been a crazy ass couple of weeks for your girl. I have been super, super, super busy. But without further ado, let me just say hello to my boy Brandon. He always sends me paintings. He sent me this one, which was a happy 100th anniversary for the Peanuts gang. And then he sent me this rendering for Strange World. I love his drawings. He's in art school right now, so he can't join me live, but he always sends me drawings and lets me know what's up. So I usually get into what I did the week before, but it's been a couple of weeks. So a couple of weeks ago, I went to support my sister, Chinoya Chukwu, who is the director of the film Till, which is a United Artists Releasing film. And while I was there, I snuck into the Q&A, which was moderated by Courtney B. Vance. And then they took a picture where, guess who was there? Cher and Ben Crump. I was like, I am in the same room with Cher. I can't stand myself. Then I watched my friend Billy Porter get his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. That's him and a bunch of people that I know from the Broadway. There's Lettucey over in the far right corner, hiding in the back. And then not only did Billy get his star, but my friend Octavia Spencer got her star too. And my girlfriend Lilius White was immortalized at Sardi's. So I'm so happy for all of them and that they had such wonderful things happen throughout the last couple of weeks for them. Then I ran over to the Noya House and moderated a couple of Q&As for P Valley, one of my favorite shows. I'm pictured there with Shannon, Nico, and Brandy. And then right after that, a couple of days after that, Nico was honored by the celebration of Black cinema. So was Angela Bassett, and so was Mr. Berry Gordy, and he's flanked there by Suzanne DePass and Mr. Billy D. Williams. And then I jetted off to Paris, honey, to check out the premiere and interview the entire cast of Emily in Paris. She got her Eiffel Tower, I got mine. And then I made my way on over to the Louvre. I was on that bridge with, that there's that bridge where all the famous, there would be locks. People, couples from all over the world would go to this bridge that is going across the Seine River, and they would put a padlock on the bridge. Well, the bridge got so weighed down that they had to take the locks off and redo the bridge with a little more sturdy backing. So they took the locks and they just have placed them all over Paris. But this was actually on the bridge where they put a circle of them around the pole. And then there's me on the red carpet at Emily in Paris. I will have those interviews for you guys next week because Emily in Paris drops a little later. But I'm so excited to tell you all about that. Now, I have a bunch of reviews, only 2 or 3 today, and I have some interviews for you. So the first review, before I get into that, let me tell you about this. I'm doing the Power Women Summit, A Time to Unite for the Wrap. If you go to, let me find the banner. If you go to this link right here, thewrap.com/PWS, thewrap.com/PWS, you'll be able to join me for that particular panel that I'm doing. And I got a chance to speak to, let me find who I talked to. I got a chance to do the panel Inside the Writer's Room, Telling Stories That Matter. On my panel is Brittany Nichols, the screenwriter and producer of Abbott Elementary, Sharice Castro Smith, screenwriter of Encanto, Dana Stevens, screenwriter for The Woman King, Christy Wilson Cairns, screenwriter for The Good Nurse, Ning Zhao, the screenwriter for Ozark, and it was moderated by your girl. So I just want to let you guys know about that. That's happening tomorrow and the 14th and 15th, I believe. Just go to that link at the bottom of the screen and it'll give you all the information there. All right. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about these movies, baby. All right. So one of the movies that I saw in the midst of me running around like a crazy person globally, I love saying that, I saw Emancipation with Will Smith. Now, everybody has been all up in arms about this film because it's the first film, major film, that has come out from Will Smith since the famous incident that happened earlier this year. It feels like that was like 10 years ago, but that literally was in like what, March or February of this year. It seems like such a long time ago. Anywho, um, he has this film out called Emancipation. It is directed by Antoine Fuqua. It is starring Will Smith, Charmaine Bingwa, and Ben Foster. Chinghua, I'm sorry, I mispronounced the child's name. Um, what I want you guys to know about this is that it's streaming on Apple TV Plus. It is inspired by the story of Whipped Peter. There's a photograph, and let me find this photograph for you. There's this photograph of this man, the man on the right. His name is Peter. And this is a famous photograph that was taken of him where he has all these keloids on his back from being whipped as a free man who was being treated like a slave. Let that sink in. He was a free man who was being treated like a slave. So, having said that, this story is inspired by that photograph, and that photograph has been worldwide, and it's known as Whipped Peter or the Scourged Back. And Peter helped to galvanize an anti slavery sentiment around the nation through this photograph because nobody could believe, it's the same sentiment that some people would get when during Black Lives Matter, when people were being beaten and killed and knees on necks and all of that. It was the same type of sentiment that people were getting with that particular picture of Peter. But having said that, Will Smith plays the title role. And this is not, so you would think with the title Emancipation is about the Emancipation Proclamation. It is not. It is a story about faith and a story about freedom. It is a story about a free man who went to get his family, I'm sorry, it's about an enslaved man who found out that he in fact was free and then made his way back to get his family, made his way back ran to go back and get his family. Um, I'll say this, there's a problem with people not wanting to see these types of stories, and I get it. In the last 10 years, there have been a plethora of slave narrative films, 12 Years a Slave, um, Emancipation, the list goes on and on. But I'll say this about it. What I will say is there's a problem in America with narratives regarding slavery being erased from American history. So there was a period of time where certain parts of the South had slaves that were free and they weren't telling them they were free. Whenever you hear the story about slavery in America, they tell you when it was abolished, they tell you about Abraham Lincoln, and they tell you how it started. They don't tell you that there were certain states in the South that kept slaves even though they were free. They don't tell you about all the other atrocities that happened. We found out about some of them in Harriet. We see there's a scene in Harriet with Cynthia Erivo where she goes to a state where there's free slaves and they're walking around in their Sunday best clothes, and she's got on, like this maize quarters dress. It's a problem in America in terms of our history. So I encourage you to see this film, if nothing else for that reason. But I will tell you, Will Smith is giving the performance of his life in this film. He really is. Everything he has done up until this moment culminates for this one film. And I know I said that when he did King Richard, but Emancipation is on a whole nother level. Like his character work in this is on a whole nother level. So make sure you check out Emancipation. All right, the next film I want to talk about is a film called The Whale. It stars Brendan Fraser. Now, Brendan Fraser was like Hollywood's pretty boy back in the day. He was in a lot of little action pictures. He was kind of like, the Ben Affleck of the day, so to speak. And now he is in this film that's directed by Darren Aronofsky, who's known for doing pretty much kind of horror thriller esque type of films. Is produced by A24 and it was released on December 9th. It's written by Samuel D. Hunter. Again, it stars Brendan Fraser is Charlie. Sadie Sink plays his daughter Ellie. She's a trip. Samantha Morton plays his ex-wife Mary, and Ty Simpkins plays Thomas, and Hong Chow plays Liz, his caretaker. The Whale deals with an obese and reclusive English teacher who's trying to reconnect with his estranged teenage daughter for one last chance at redemption. What I will say about this film, more than anything else, is that this film really, in a very loving and sensitive way, puts a spotlight on how somebody, because think about how many times you see somebody that's overweight get on a plane or on a bus or on a train or walking through the mall or in a store. Do you ever wonder how they got that way? So The Whale deals with how Charlie ended up in that position, how he gained the weight, why he gained the weight, why he never tried to get the weight off. And as a result of putting on all this weight, it put undue stress on his heart. And so he wants to make good with his estranged daughter one more time because he knows he doesn't have a lot of time left. He tries to make good with his ex-wife, Mary, because again, he doesn't have a lot of time left. And in the middle of all of this, Ty Simpkins' character, Thomas, is coming up there. He's from the Church of Latter-day Saints. He got his own little drama and he's bringing all of that to the table. It is a wonderfully scripted film. Brendan's performance is Oscar worthy, not because he's in, prosthetics and all that, but the empathy and the sentimentality and the vulnerability that he brings to Charlie just tears your heart apart from the inside out. Again, it is an A24 film and it was released on um, December 9th. It also talks about um, living your authentic life, because Charlie was a straight man who fell in love with a man, and that was the thing that spiraled him down. We see him ordering pizza. We see him teaching without the pizza man or his students ever seeing what he looked like. And we also see fat shaming and what that looks like and how mean and cruel it can be when you don't know somebody's circumstances, or even when you do know their circumstances and you fat shame them anyway. Everybody should see that film. It got a standing ovation at Cannes and earlier this year, and it's definitely a must see. Something else that's being released on December 9th is a film called Empire of Light. Now, I talked about this film a little earlier when I did a Q&A for Searchlight Films with Michael Ward, one of the stars, and he plays opposite Olivia Colman in this film. And I have an interview with all of them coming up. But before we get into that, let me just talk about the film for a second. Empire of Light is, what's the best way to describe this film? It is a film that deals with like a May December romance. There's this middle-aged white woman who has some mental issues. And she works at a theater, a really old cinema, and so does Michael. He's one of the ushers. It's a lot to unpack in this film. It's directed by Sam Mendes. It's produced by Sam Mendes. Um, but the thing that's a lot to unpack in the film is that there's a lot of racism in the UK, very similar to what happens here in America, but on a whole completely different level. So they deal with that in the film, but I wish that they had dealt more with it and really addressed it. There's a scene in that movie where they burst into the theater and they attack um, Michael's character and beat him to a pulp. To the point where he had to be hospitalized. I really wish that we had spent more time on that. I know that the film wasn't about that, but I feel like the way it was approached and the way they jumped out of it was a little too soon. I wish they had just spent more time on it. Having said that, the film is a little bit of a slow burn, But Olivia Colman and Michael Ward and Tanya Moody make it worth your while to see this film because their performances are absolutely fantastic. It's also Sam Mendes's ode to cinema houses because remember, when they were shooting this film, it was during COVID. It was during a time where none of us, because Sam Mendes points out in the interview that you're going to see in a little bit, that for 9 months, we didn't have a vaccine. We didn't know if we were ever going to go to another cafe. We didn't know if we were going to go to another movie house. We didn't know if we were going to be able to visit friends or family ever again. So this is kind of like his love letter to classic movie houses and how they operate. There's a beautiful scene where they show how the reels are taken off in order to show the films in the movie theater. I love this film just for those reasons, but it is a little bit of a slow burn, and I do wish that they had spent more time on the issues surrounding Michael Ward's character. But having said that, I got a surprise for y'all. So I had a chance to speak to Sam and Olivia, and I had a chance to speak to Michael and Tanya. But what I'm going to do is that I promised y'all before I left this interview with Diane Warren. And Diane Warren, as I said before, is a Oscar nominated. She's been nominated for an Oscar for Best Songwriting for 13 years, 13 times rather, and never won. So they finally just gave her an honorary Oscar. And her and I sat down and talked about that. So before I get into these interviews with Sam and Michael, take a look and listen to this interview with Miss Diane Warren, Miss Oscar winner, Diane Warren. What's up, Diane Warren? Miss Oscar, honorary Oscar winner after 13 nominations and 100 songs.
In 100 years. Yeah.
How are you feeling after all of this?
I'm excited. I'm a little exhausted because now I haven't slept a lot since then. But it's like the coolest thing in the world. Are you kidding? Like I have an Oscar. I'm Oscar winner Diane Warren now.
When you gave your speech, you talked about Born Free. What was it about Born Free that touched you so much to make you want to become a songwriter?
It showed me the power of a song in a movie is more what that did. It was such an emotional moment with Elsa the lion bringing her babies back. And I remember, here she was, the Adamsons, the couple had, saved Elsa, but they had to, hence the title Born Free, they had to put her back in the wild. But she came back with her babies to show them. And it's just like, I remember just like sobbing and hearing this beautiful song. That's the power of music and images and emotion,
Yeah, music can transport you back to a place that may be stuck in your memory someplace. Yeah. And that one song will take you right there.
And what's interesting is that now I can do that.
Yeah,
so that's kind of a thing where I, it's like, wow. So some of my songs have done that for people.
Has any part of your real life been inspirational for the many songs that you've written? Some people, so when actors take on a role, sometimes there is someone in their life that they grab from to inhabit that role. Is there anything that you grab from in your life for your lyrics?
I mean, maybe like subconsciously, especially some of the real, the fighting ones, that's me because I've always kind of have to prove people wrong. So those kind of songs, there's me in. Like I don't write about myself, I'm like I call it method songwriting, like method acting.
Ooh, nice. I like that.
So it's like when I'm writing that song, I'm that character. So and I inhabit that song. That song tells me where it wants to go.
So Cher presented you with your Oscar the other night, right?
Yeah.
And you've written a lot of songs for her. What's your favorite song that you ever wrote for her?
For Cher?
Yeah.
There's a few of them. You haven't seen The Last of Me from Burlesque, which I won the Golden Globe for. That's one of my favorites. There's kind of songs that people don't know, like When You Walk Away. This kind of dance song I wrote for her is one of my favorites. A song called When Lovers Become Strangers. These weren't the hits, but they're my favorites.
I love that.
And if I could turn back time, of course. I wrote some really great songs for Cher.
You think? Yeah. You've written some really great songs.
She hated some of them.
As she said it during the speech, she was like, no. I'm always interested in knowing this. How do you know which talent is the right talent and the right voice to sing your song?
It's casting. It's like, I have a superpower for that, I think. Like, I know what the right artist is for the song. When I meet with an artist, I have a thing, like, I know what the right song, even before I know, like, just from, hearing their voice, and then somehow I kind of give them a song that they're going through or something. It happens all the time. Someone called me the song whisperer.
I love that.
I love that too.
I love that. The Song Whisperer.
Yeah.
I love that a lot. There's this one lyric from Applause that you wrote for Sophia Carson.
Yeah.
So there's this one lyric that I love that you wrote because it's kind of like a female empowerment anthem. And you said, give yourself some applause. You deserve it. Give yourself some respect because you earned it. Give yourself some love because you're worth it. You're worth it. Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, right? Look in the mirror and just fucking say that. And sometimes I even have to say that to myself. You know, sometimes I want to, like, I'll write a song like that and I'll go, you know what, I got to listen to that sometimes. I love what that says, right? You know, we beat ourselves up, women, and I think humans do, but I think probably especially women, you know, we're not good enough, we're this, that. You know, and here's a song just going, you know what, you're bold, you're bad, you're strong, give yourself some applause.
Yes.
You know, they can't stop you. You were born unstoppable. Dare to know that you're remarkable. Stand up. Raise your hands up. Give yourself some applause. When I found out I was getting the honorary Oscar, I was in the studio with her. I get this call, you know, from the head of the Academy saying, you know, you're getting the Oscar. At first of all, I thought it was a joke. But then
I bet.
But the irony of being in the studio doing that song, right? Like, here, okay, I'm going to give myself some applause. All right, shit.
There you are.
Yeah, I'm going to stop for a second. That's worth applauding.
There's so many artists that have not owned the rights to their music. You know, we've seen it go back as far back as like Fats Waller with Ain't Misbehaving and a lot of, especially a lot of rhythm and blues artists, which is why the Rhythm and Blues Foundation was created, right?
Right.
Why do you think it was so crucial, especially being a woman in the music industry, to make sure that you owned the rights to your stuff?
I mean, it just was an accident with me. I didn't set out to own my publishing. I was in a lawsuit with someone I was signed to, and during that time I couldn't sign with anybody. And all of a sudden I started having all these hits, and then I settled with them myself. And like, I'd had my first big hit, Rhythm of the Night. All these people were offering me all this money to be staff writers, and which I wanted to take because I had no money, and someone was offering me $1 million from $200. And so my lawyer goes, you can't sign with anybody because you're in this lawsuit. She goes, you're going to have to start your own company. I go, well, I don't want to start my own company. It's the best thing I ever did, which is Real Songs, which is you're in the Real Songs building. I think it's important to own your music, but, you know, you don't start out necessarily. It's not going to be that way starting out because you have to prove yourself.
And I just want to close it out saying this to you, because I heard you say one time that people always remember your songs, but they never remember necessarily how they charted. And I just want you to know that I looked it up, and I want to quote it back to you, Miss Diane Warren. Your first hit charted on Billboard with Unbreak My Heart by Toni Braxton. It was 11 weeks at #1.
That wasn't my first charted song.
Oh, see, now I'm all wrong.
It's
Face
okay.
just cracked.
No, because I had Rhythm of the Night, and that was before. So I had songs a long time ago, but that was definitely #1 for 11 weeks.
So I got the 11 weeks right.
Yeah, you got that part.
Okay, I got that
Yeah, 'cause
part
that
right.
was in the 90s, and like Rhythm of the Night was like 85.
I always thought you were a New Yorker.
Everybody does.
But I just want to close it out and say thank you for taking time to talk to me. I'm a huge fan of yours. I've been trying to make this happen for a year.
Oh, sure.
And have been cheerleading you and championing you on for decades. And I'm
thank you.
I'm about to cry.
I really appreciate
I really
that.
am. Oh, okay, get it together. I just want to thank you because I really do appreciate you taking time for me. I know how busy
Thank
you
you.
are, and I know what 10 minutes is for a schedule like yours.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine.
I'm good. I'm about to cry. I'm really kind of overwhelmed.
Cry, come on.
When I tell you I had the best time talking to Diane Warren, I've actually known her for a minute, but got some of her stats wrong. But I think I got it wrong because I was mostly kind of just super nervous. But thank you, Diane, for giving me your time. All right, I'm not going to waste any more of y'all's time and get you right into these interviews with. I'm going to do Michael Ward and Tanya Moody first, and I talked to them about. I had spoken to Michael when we did the live Q&A about the bond that he had with Tanya. And then I just followed up this live interview with that same question for Tanya.
I've met you already.
You have met me.
Yes,
Yeah.
when I was last here. I
Yeah.
can't, the screen's so small, so I can't really tell, but I know already.
Yes.
How are
Well,
you?
I'm good, Michael. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Good. Hi, Tanya. How you doing?
I'm well, thank you, my darling. How are you?
I am fantabulous now that I see y'all. Listen, you guys, I talked to Michael about this when I met him, but I just want to get it from your vantage point, Tanya. How did you work to build a bond with Michael in regards to being mother and son on screen? Because it was such a powerful bond to watch play out.
Well, darling, to be frank, it wasn't any work at all. I didn't work at it, to be honest with you, because I mean, I hate to admit it, but Michael is young enough to be my actual son. It's an awful thing to have to admit, but it's true. And he's such a very good actor, and he's a very sensitive artist, and he's a very receptive artist. So as a scene partner, it's incredibly easy to key into that and work with him and look in his eyes and be responsive to the impulses that he's giving me. That's very easy. So as a scene partner, that's easy. And obviously the relationship is written into the text. So a lot of that is kind of, it happens on its own. I mean, if he was any other artist, he was an artist that was closed in any way. I mean, Sam wouldn't have hired an artist that was closed anyway, so it wouldn't have happened.
That part.
But then, do you know what I mean? Then it would make it more difficult. But, you know, Michael makes that very easy. And also, just in terms of technique, you know, I have a daughter, a 15-year-old, and as a mother, a universal in a sense. So, you know, I could bring that into my consciousness when I spoke to Michael.
I loved it. You were so fabulous. I'm so happy I get a chance to talk to you now, because me and Michael are old friends. But now that I have you both here, this film is not only a film about art and community, but it's about cinema as a space. So having said that, what is your most defining moment inside a movie theater?
Well, when I grew up in a town where there was a sort of predominance of multiplexes, but there was one kind of art house cinema where they would do things like show reruns of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and they were always like a big event, and all the as teenagers, that was kind of our place to all get together in the dark and sort of have this sense of freedom that we hadn't felt sort of hitherto as young adults, going into that time in our lives hormonally and everything. And that was the time you could smoke in cinemas. So, we were like passing fags back and forth and, chatting and talking. We saw Pink Floyd's The Wall there. I remember that being like a really kind of seminal theatrical moment, seeing that and like passing fags down the aisle and stuff. And yeah.
Michael is completely fascinated by what you just said.
Yeah.
He's like, wow, really?
It's a different world.
I know. How about you, Michael? What was your most defining moment in a cinema?
Me and my friends used to go cinema a lot when on like non-school uniform days and stuff like that, because our local cinema was quite close to our school. And so we go there and watch all types of films. But the ones that are most vivid to me are like, dance films, like Step Up 1, Step Up 2. Even street dance and stuff like that. We used to watch a lot of those things and used to come out like dancing, like when we was younger. And I just, those memories for me just stand out a lot. But I don't know if that's defining though. Do you know what I'm saying? But I just really
it's a moment that you remember. When I say defining, it's a moment that no matter what you think about, you remember it. So the dancing resonated with you. So yeah, that's great. For me, it was Fame. Just saying.
Yeah.
But that's my time, you guys. Thank you so much for talking to me. I love the film. I love your performances in it. And I'll talk to you next time.
Yeah, yes, thanks, my love.
Thank you so much. I'll see you soon.
I really did love Tanya and Michael's chemistry in the film. It was really lovely and heartfelt. And last but not least, I have Miss Olivia Colman, Miss Academy Award winning, Emmy Award winning, BAFTA Award winning Olivia Colman, and one of my favorite directors, Sam Mendes. And I talked to Sam about his ode to cinema. And then I asked Olivia Colman if she had a crush on somebody when she was younger, and you will never guess who she said. Hi, Olivia. Nice to see you again.
And you, how you doing? You look beautiful.
Good. Hi, Sam. Thank you. You're always so complimentary and nice. Nice to meet you, Sam.
I love to meet you.
Cool. I really love the film because it's almost like a love letter to cinema for me. The way you shot it, Sam, and how you go into the cinema, seeing all those rooms and things that normally you wouldn't see in a movie house that's been closed for a minute or have parts of it closed off for a minute. So having said that, why do you think you chose this project at this time? Because we've been in a place for the last 2.5 years where we haven't been able to go into a movie house, right? We haven't been able to experience movies that way. So it just feels so poetic in so many ways.
yeah, I mean, I think we all felt like maybe it was gone forever. Actually, I think we have quite short memories. There was a whole 9-month period where there weren't vaccinations. We thought maybe this is it. Maybe we won't be in a cinema or a theater or a cafe or anywhere again. Not even schools. And I think that's one of the reasons why at the moment there's quite a number of movies that are very self-reflective and about the cinema or about the actual act of going into this building. But for me, those buildings have always had a kind of magic, those the disintegrating, ever since the end of the Second World War, movie going has gradually gone down. In the movies, the number of movie houses have shrunk, and there are all these amazing buildings out there that are kind of temples to the experience of going to the film, to go to films. And I wanted to sort of, I don't know, celebrate that in some way, and the beauty of it and the memory that I have of projecting film and the wonder of those places. So yeah, it was something that I think was brought up by contemplating a world without any of them.
Olivia, I know that this is a bit of a coming of age story, but it's also a story about a woman who we know has a little bit of a mental issue going on. But at the same time, there's this slight kind of attraction with this older woman and this younger guy going on. So having said that, did you ever have a crush on? He's like, uh-oh.
No, it's not a slight attraction. It's a big attraction.
Big
I would say.
I mean, I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying not to, I was trying to be respectful. But having said that, when you were younger, did you ever crush on somebody who was so much older than you that you just knew that someday when you got old enough to be with them, you could be with them? And they were like, yeah, no, that's not happening.
Oh my God.
Did you ever have a crush on an older man?
I mean, well, Paul Newman has been mentioned today, and I did just think he was the most beautifully put together. Those actors at that time when I was younger, I didn't really see that they'd never look at me. But yeah, I think but then they were people I wouldn't have met. I can't think of a moment in my life. Did I ever fancy teachers?
Yes.
Did you have a To Sir With Love moment?
I don't think there was someone I met in the flesh, but there was certainly Paul Newman was the most beautiful human being.
Yes,
me.
he was. Yeah. I'm so sad I'm out of time for y'all because I had like 5,000 more questions that I wanted to ask. But no, it's okay. It happens. That's how it rolls. But I'm so grateful that I had the opportunity to speak with you. Olivia, you know how much I love you. I gush over you every
love you.
time. And Sam, I'm such a fan of your work. It gives me such great pleasure to be able to talk to you just this one brief time. Thank you so, so very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Lovely to see you.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Now, y'all know I know what I say what I mean, and I mean what I say. I love all of Sam Mendes's films because it's always some drama with a woman and either a younger woman and an older man, or an older woman and a younger man, or an older man and a younger dude. Like, it's always some drama and intrigue in his films, and I'm just there for all of it. So I was grateful I got to talk to them. So that is it for this edition of the Curvy Critic with Carla Renata. So let me just recap what I talked about so that you guys can go see that. I want you to go check out the Power Women Summit from the 13th through the 15th. I have given you this link, and I will just put it up here one more time. It is www.therap.com/PWS. Again, therap.com/PWS. That is happening. Then I want you guys to check out Emancipation, which is now streaming on Apple TV+. Check out The Whale with Brendan Fraser, which is in theaters right now, produced by A24. And last but not least, Empire of Light with Michael Ward, Olivia Colman, Tanya Moody, and Colin Firth. Next week, you guys, I will have the interview of a lifetime with Malcolm D. Lee, the director and creator of what? the Best Man series, the final chapters. I will be talking to Malcolm next week. I will be reviewing Living with Bill Nye. Wonderful film. Wonderful film. I can't wait to tell y'all about that. I can't wait to tell y'all about Corsage with Vicky Krebs. I love her so much. Can't wait to tell you about Babylon. Can't wait to tell you about Puss in Boots. And I definitely can't wait to tell you about Women Talking if I haven't told you about that one already. Okay? So that is it for this edition of the Curvy Critic with Carla Renata. I thank y'all so much for popping in and popping by and saying hello. Let me just go in here and say some comments that my boy Brandon always says to me. He popped in and said he wanted to pop in and say hello and that his classes in webcomic are going super well. He loved Del Toro's Pinocchio. He said it was amazing. He can't wait for Avatar 2, Puss in Boots 2, and the Sonic premiere. I've seen Puss in Boots, and I don't think I've seen Sonic, but I haven't seen Avatar, but I'm looking forward to Avatar 2. He also wanted me to say that we're getting the full trailer for Across the Spider-Verse tomorrow. Well, thank you, Brandon. I'll be on the lookout for all of that. I love when he gives me, when he's like my little super news reporter on the DL. But anyway, you guys, if this is your first time joining me, please give me a thumbs up to let me know that you were here on YouTube if you're watching that way. If you're watching via LinkedIn or Facebook Live or on Twitter, just holler at a girl, say hello. Let me know that you were here and you popped by. And I will be back next week. I also want you to know that I will be back next week, December 19th. But after December 19th, I will not do another podcast. I'll be writing some written reviews. So you can go to www.thecurvy, filmcritic.com and see all of my written reviews there. And there'll be a plethora of them because I'm so behind. I got to write like at least 30 of them, I know. And I will come back on December 19th. And when I come back on December 19th, I will be talking about The Banshees of Inisherin, Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, Babylon, Women Talking, the interviews with the whole cast of Emily in Paris, including the creator, Darren Star, and my interview with Malcolm D. Lee, the creator and writer of The Best Man franchise. And this time we'll be talking about The Best Man, the final chapter. So stay safe, stay sane, have a wonderful holiday season, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.